Hello everyone and welcome back. Today we're going to go over the ICH GCP 5.5 Trial Management, Data Handling and Record Keeping. Trial Management, Data Handling and Record Keeping. Section 5.5.3. When using electronic trial data handling or remote electronic trial data systems, the sponsor should ensure and document that the electronic data processing system or systems conforms to the sponsor's established requirements for completeness, accuracy, reliability, and consistent intended performance, such as validation. They must also maintain the SOPs, which is a standard of procedures for using these systems. They should also ensure that the systems are designed to permit data changes in such a way that the data changes are documented and that there is no deletion of the entered data, such as maintain an audit trail, data trail, or edit trail. They should also maintain a security system that prevents unauthorized access to the data. Section 5.5.1, the sponsor should utilize appropriately qualified individuals to supervise the overall conduct of the trial, to handle the data, to verify the data, and to conduct the statistical analysis and to prepare the trial reports. Section 5.5.2, the sponsor may also consider establishing an independent data monitoring committee, such as the IDMC, to assess the progress of a clinical trial, including the safety data and the critical efficacy endpoints at intervals, and to recommend to the sponsor whether to continue, modify, or stop at a trial. The IDMC should have written operating procedures and maintain written records of all its meetings. They should also maintain a list of individuals who are authorized to make data changes, maintain adequate backup of the data, and safeguard the blinding, if any, such as maintaining the blinding during the data entry and the processing. Section 5.5.4, if the data are transformed during processing, it should always be possible to compare the original data and the observations with the processed data. Section 5.5.5, the sponsor should use an ambiguous subject identification code that allows identification of all the data reported for each subject. In Subject 5.5.6, the sponsor or other owners of the data should retain all of the sponsor-specific essential documents pertaining to the trial. Now, the essential documents for the conduct of a clinical trial. Section 5.5.7 says that the sponsor should retain all sponsor-specific essential documents in conformance with the applicable regulatory requirements of the country or countries where the product is approved and or where the sponsor intends to apply for the approval. Section 5.5.8, if the sponsor discontinues the clinical development of an investigational product, such as for any or all indication routes of administration or dosage forms, the sponsor should maintain all sponsor-specific essential documents for at least 2 years after the formal discontinuation or in conformance with the applicable regulatory requirements. Section 5.5.9, if the sponsor discontinues the clinical development of an investigational product, the sponsor should notify all the trial investigators and institutions and all the regulatory authorities. Section 5.5.10, any transfer of ownership of the data should be reported to the appropriate authority or authorities as required by the applicable regulatory requirements. Now, Section 5.5.11, the sponsor-specific essential documents should be retained until at least 2 years after the last approval of a marketing application in an ICH region and until there are no pending or contemplated marketing applications in an ICH region, or at least 2 years have elapsed since the formal discontinuation of clinical development of the investigational product. These documents should be retained for a longer period of time, however, if required by the applicable regulatory requirements or if needed by the sponsor. Section 5.5.12, the sponsor should inform that the investigator or institutions in writing of the need for record retention and should notify the investigator or institutions in writing when the trial-related records are no longer needed. That being said, it was a super short module. I know, I hope and wish that all the modules can be this short. But that being said, you guys, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I will see you guys next time on our next module. Thank you and have a great one. Bye bye.